Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Marilyn Lau, and I'm with the USC Viterbi School of Engineering Admissions and Student Engagement team. So it is my pleasure today to welcome you to our session where we will highlight our Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering graduate programs. And with me today, I do have Professor Paul Ronney. Um, and so Professor Ronney will be sharing information about the academic graduate programs within the Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering department. And then we'll go ahead and go through some frequently asked questions. So really quickly, Professor Paul Ronney, thank you so much for taking your time and for being with us here today. And thank you as well for everyone who is joining us live. So some quick facts, I will be sending out a copy of today's presentation deck after today's presentation. And for those of you who are joining us live, I do want to mention that, you please do allow 1 to 2 business days for us to follow up with a copy of the presentation deck. And for those of you who may be watching this webinar at another time, do note that the content that we are discussing is from Monday, October 13th, 2025. And we do always recommend for you to visit our website for the most updated information in terms of the academic curriculum, admission requirements, and everything else related to our academic program and admissions process. In terms of questions, we do highly encourage you to ask your questions. You can do so by popping it into the chat box at the bottom of the icon, and I will be able to answer those questions, and we'll have a Q&A session with Professor Ronney at the end, so we can definitely, go through any questions that you guys might have for him about the programs, or if it's regarding, the application and admissions process, then I can go ahead and answer those questions. So today's agenda, we will be talking about USC, for those of you who are not familiar with our academic institution. And then I'll talk about the Viterbi School of Engineering. And then I'll go ahead and hand it off to Professor Ronney, who will take us through, the different graduate programs that we have within Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering department. And then we'll talk about, the application criteria. And then I'll go ahead and talk about, our online delivery method, Dana Viterbi, and just kind of, how it works and the flexibility of our delivery modality for individuals who may be working professionals. And then we'll go ahead and, conclude with tuition and funding, and then we'll go ahead and then open it up for a Q&A. So really quickly, for those of you who are not familiar with our academic institution or haven't been to our campus before, just some images to share with you. So we are located in Los Angeles, around a 20-minute drive from downtown LA, as well as 20 minutes drive kind of from the aviation corridor as well. Really beautiful campus and blue skies usually all year around. So a little bit more about USC. So as I mentioned, we are located in downtown LA, and we are the oldest private university in the Western United States. So we were founded back in 1880. We do have over 22 academic schools and divisions and over 47,000 students. We have over 450,000 alumni that are worldwide and over 4,700 full-time faculty. And we do have a very diverse student population. So our students come from all different walks of life and also different geographic locations as well. So a little bit more about Viterbi School at a glance. So we do have over 6,600 graduate students, over 65 master's programs, but 40 of them are actually offered online through Dana Viterbi. We have over 38 research centers and over 210 full-time tenure-track faculty members. Our Viterbi School was established in 1905, and as of today, we do have over 100,000 Viterbi alumni that are worldwide. We have 8 academic departments, so Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering, which we will be hearing, a little bit more from Professor Ronney. in today's session. And then we have astronautical engineering, biomedical engineering, chemical engineering and material science, civil and environmental engineering, computer science and data science, electrical and computer engineering, and then industrial and systems engineering. Okay, so it is my honor, to introduce everyone to Professor Paul Ronney. So Professor Ronney is a professor and chairman of our Department of Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering. And he also has his SCD in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT. And he has conducted research on combustion, energy, and chemically reacting flows. So he has done experiments that has flown on 3 space shuttle flights. And he is also the fellow of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, so ASME, Combustion Institute, and associate fellow of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, so AIAA. And as you can see here, Professor Ronney, he's an astronaut, and he loves to ride horses, and he also likes to ski. So thank you so much, Professor Ronney, for joining us today. Very warm welcome. And yeah, I'll go ahead and let you take over the reins.
All right, thanks for that introduction. Can we go on to the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay, so first a little bit about the department. Please excuse my voice. I'm getting over something, so my voice is still challenged, let's shall we say. Anyway, we have 26 tenure track faculty, of which 15 are full professors, and I'm proud to say that every single one of them is a fellow of one of the major professional organizations, ASME or AIAA, as you just heard about, and other major professional organizations. We have 5 associate professors, including one that's new this year, and 6 tenure track assistant professors. And I'm also proud to say that of those 26 faculty, 15 of them have received at least one of the early career awards that are given to junior faculty from the National Science Foundation and other agencies. We also have a number of RTPC, which means research, teaching, practice, and clinical faculty. Basically, these are in our department, that's mainly teaching track faculty, of which 4 are at the associate or full professor level of practice, and 6 are at the lower levels of lecturer or senior lecturer. And then we also have a number of part-time lecturers, we call them adjunct faculty, who have really retired or have full-time jobs elsewhere, and typically just teach 1 class per year in an area of their specialty. For example, we have someone who is now retired from Boeing, who spent his career designing aircraft for a living, so he teaches our senior level aircraft design class, because he knows much more about it than any of us who are full-time faculty possibly could. We also have excellent support staff. I'll mention in particular the last group are student services people, who are really an outstanding group of people who can take care of all of your needs should you decide to enroll in USC. Our current population, we have about 600 undergraduates, which is the largest of any viterbi department, and a similar, slightly lower, but similar number of master's students, and about 80 PhD students. All right, go ahead. And as I've been department chair now for the past, well, since July of 2020, and over that period of time, we've seen a slow but steady uptick in our U.S. News and World Report rankings, and particularly on the mechanical engineering side, which is due to a vast effort by a large number of our faculty and staff. Next. So our research areas focus around 5 different areas: aerospace and exploration, medicine bioengineering, robotics and autonomous systems, design and manufacturing, and my particular area, energy and infrastructure. And so we have a number of faculty in each of these areas who not only provide research experiences, but also teach the classes in these areas. And some of the particular areas of interest that are the research that I could do, notice fluid and solid mechanics, material science, combustion, my particular specialty, dynamics and control, and computational science and engineering. All right, thanks. I'm proud of our major research facilities. We have our Center for Advanced Manufacturing, which is located just off campus in Hoover Street. And we have on campus the Dryden Wind Tunnel, which is actually one of the best low turbulence wind tunnels in the world. And next to it our Blue Water Channel, which is like a wind tunnel, but it uses water instead of air. And there are advantages and disadvantages of having an water channel versus an air tunnel. Okay, next. And where do our students go after graduation? As you can see, at the master's level, most of them go on to employment, some may go on to PhDs, go on to, in some cases, fellowships or residency. This year in particular didn't have any appointment to the military. Some go into various internships, and a few, not many, but a few are still seeking employment. If you look at the average starting salaries, you notice something interesting there. You notice that the master's students, on average, have a higher median average starting salary. That's because we had a couple of master's students who had astronomically high starting salaries. At least, of course, they're self-reported. We don't obviously have no way of checking these. I don't have any reason to doubt that they are accurate. But in any case, this is not the typical situation. Typically, the master's and PhD are reversed. But just this year, we had a couple of students with very high starting salaries. So maybe you can be some of those that help continue that trend as master's students. And where do our students go? They go to places, as you see, like SpaceX. You know, a lot of our graduates to SpaceX, to Boeing, to Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Aerospace Corporation. You know, in the Los Angeles area, we're the center of the world's aerospace industry. So a large number of our students go on to work in that industry, but it's by no means the only area that they go to work in. Okay, next. Now we have quite a number of master's programs. We have just your sort of basic master's degree in either aerospace engineering or mechanical engineering. And then we have a number of specialties, as you can see listed here. And I don't think I want to go through all of them here. So how would you like me to go? I mean, obviously I don't want to go through each one of these. How about if I just mention one and then you can quickly go through the others? Is that okay?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. So there's this fall a minimum of 27 units required. That says they're going to increase to 28 starting in the fall of 2027 because we're switching from a primarily 3-unit to a primarily 4-unit curriculum. So there's a required math course, a choice of 3. The remaining units add up to 27, and they're from a list of approved 400 just senior undergraduate or 500 level classes. So you have a large amount of flexibility. And there's a limit to how many, I don't remember the number offhand, I believe it's 8 units of 400 level master's classes. Like I teach a senior level 400 class, and I have quite a few master's students in that class. And then as you can see, there's all these different specializations that you can consider. You know, some actually, give you something that's printed on your diploma, and some are just tracks that you can follow, just sort of something that is suggested, but in no way required for any particular certificate. Okay, go ahead. Let's see, can I move this one?
Did you want me to go back one slide?
Yeah. Okay. So for the one in particular for computational fluid and solid mechanics, again, one of these applied math courses that I mentioned. And then there's a core group of classes in both the solid mechanics and fluid mechanics area. And then a number of electives.
Oh, sorry. Oh, here we go, yeah.
And then again, I don't think I want to go through all of these in
Okay.
detail, but again,
Yeah.
you see the theme here that in each
Mhm.
of these is a required math class, and then there's a sort of core group of classes that are required for that option, and then a number of electives that you can take above and beyond that.
Mhm.
So again, I don't think I want to go through
Okay. Okay,
each of
sounds good.
these in detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can see the pattern.
Yeah.
And when you get the slides, you can look through all these options and see
Mhm.
what in particular interests you.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And then, yeah, I guess, what do our students do, and what do our graduates do? I know you briefly kind of touched upon it. So if you want to elaborate a little bit more on this slide. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory as well.
Yeah, so in addition to the ones that I mentioned before, the aerospace-oriented corporations, um, you see we have a number of students that go into even things that even aren't related to engineering. For example, in the legal area, two of my two best students ever, um, who not only they took both of them took three of my classes, and in each class, they not only got the best score in the class, but they just blew the top off the curve. They were just detached from the others. And both of them, one man, one woman, they're both now patent attorneys. They went on to law school and are now very successful patent attorneys. I can think of another student. She did the PDP program. That she came in as an undergraduate and then went through a 5-year bachelor's plus master's uh, program. And now she is a consultant. Uh, and she was actually interesting. She came in what was called the Norman Topping Scholarship. It's a special scholarship for freshmen that is given to a small number of students from the surrounding community who would not otherwise be able to afford USC. And she told me she was not only the first in her family to go to college, she was the first in her family to graduate from high school. And so she not only um, not only went through a bachelor's and master's program, but now she's working for a major consulting firm in the San Francisco Bay Area. And who knows, maybe making more money than I am. But anyway, we're very happy for her success. Okay, go on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Professor Ronney, for taking us through, the different graduate programs that we have within the Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering department. And so the ones that we did kind of go through just right now, so those are the ones that are offered online through Dana Viterbi. And so I'll go ahead and take you guys through now, the enrollment options and kind of, the application requirements. So in terms of the master's requirements, so applicants do need to have a bachelor's degree in engineering, computer science, math, or basically a hard STEM related academic discipline. And so for spring 2026, so we are still accepting applications for online Dana Viterbi students for spring, which does begin in January, on January 12th. The application fee is $90. And for those of you who are interested in applying for fall 2026 and spring 2027, the application fee will be $105. So for all of the graduate application programs, including the aerospace and mechanical engineering, individuals do need to submit official transcripts. So a electronic copy would be used to upload it as part of your application. So there is no need to submit a physical copy. And you do need to submit a resume as well as a personal statement. So letter recommendations for the aerospace and mechanical engineering programs are optional. And we do also encourage you to head over to our website at viterbi.gradadmission.usc.edu to just look at the specific program page for the aerospace and mechanical engineering programs that you are interested in to see the specific requirements. And also the good news is that the GRE is not required for 2026 for our master's applications, which also includes the aerospace and mechanical engineering programs. So application deadline. So as I mentioned, we are still accepting applications for spring 2026 for those of you who are interested in pursuing your degree as an online Dana Viterbi student and you do not require a student visa sponsorship. So the application extension is November 14th. For those of you who are interested in fall 2026, the application deadline is January 15th. And if you are interested in on-campus, do note that on-campus scholarships deadline is different. It is on December 15th. In terms of the application deadline, again, you can see that there's an asterisk indicated next to it, which means that we are able to extend the application deadline date for online Dana Viterbi applicants beyond January 15th. So if you are interested, please go ahead and email me at danaviterbi.usc.edu for more information. So we do offer, two delivery modalities when it comes to pursuing our graduate programs. So the first one is on campus, which is, essentially when students are on campus at USC and they tend to be pursuing their degree on a full-time basis. And they tend to take maybe 3 classes or 4 classes per semester. So they usually can graduate on average between 1.5 to 2 years. And then we have our online delivery method, which is what we call Dana Viterbi. So typically, students who are DEN students pursue their degree on a part-time basis. But, there are also students who may be pursuing it on a full-time basis as well. Because most of our DEN students, they do tend to be working professionals. So they are working full-time and they're studying on a part-time basis. And they tend to take maybe 1 to 2 classes per semester. So on average, they can complete their degree between maybe 2.5 to 3 years. So how does Dana Viterbi work? So Dana Viterbi is our School of Engineering's in-house state-of-the-art proprietary web-based delivery system. So it was essentially, designed for students who are working professionals to kind of give them that flexibility to pursue a graduate degree while not having to give up their work commitments or personal life commitments. And as of today, as I mentioned, it is in-house. We don't outsource it. And it's a way for students from all over the world to access classes. And you could watch it live by streaming in, or you could watch it as a recording afterwards on your own time. So as a Dana Viterbi student, you will still view the same lectures as on-campus student. So the content is fresh every semester. You will still have the opportunity to participate in highly interactive discussions with your professors, as well as with your classmates. And you will still submit homework electronically. So you will take exams at a proctored testing center located either near your home or your work. However, if you are residing in the LA, Orange, or Ventura counties, then you will be taking your exams at USC's campus. So you might be asking, what's the main difference between being an online Dana Viterbi student and an on-campus student? So this graph here really kind of highlights the differences. So as you can see, the program admission requirements is the same. So despite the delivery modality, you will still be submitting a USC graduate application and the required materials. Weekly course lectures for DEN students is online with interactivity. On-campus students will be taking their attending their lectures on campus. Having online course archives, Dana Viterbi students do have access to this. On-campus students will only have access to this if they are enrolled in a DEN session. Dana Viterbi students will submit assignments electronically, but as you can see here, the course deadline dates are still the same as on-campus students. Exams is at a proctor location for Dana Viterbi students, unless you're residing in the LA, Orange, or Ventura counties. And then, as I kind of touched upon previously in the prior slide, courses per semester is kind of where it varies a little bit more. DEN students tend to take 1 to 2 classes per semester. On-campus students, maybe 3 to 4. So, but you can see that the degree completion requirements is the same. So depending on the program that you are, pursuing, you will be required to complete between either 27 to 37 units. But you do need to maintain and have at least a 3.0 GPA or above. So ultimately, when you do complete your degree, there is no distinction on there whether you're an online student or an on-campus student. So the degree earned will be the same. Some additional information when it comes to online DEN of Viterbi is that there is a way for you to get started through a different enrollment option, which is what we call limited status. So limited status is for candidates who have a strong academic background to begin classes before submitting the application for formal admission. However, you do need to have an undergraduate degree in a STEM field, and you do need to have at least a 3.0 GPA. You can take a maximum of 12 units as a limited status student, and if admitted into the formal degree program afterwards, those classes that you took, those units as a limited status student, can be transferred over to your degree program. However, it is upon departmental approval, and also being a limited status student does not guarantee you admissions. So there is a way for you to get started as early in spring 2026 by enrolling in a couple of classes before submitting an application for formal admissions. More information can be found on that link over there for limited status enrollment details. And then really quickly, we do have the employer reimbursement deferment program. So this is essentially a program for students who are supported by their employer. You can defer your payment of up to 90% of tuition until after the semester is over. The program eligibility is that your employer does have to reimburse you for tuition at the end of each term, and your student account also has to be current. The program participation requirements that is required by you, the student, to settle before the settlement deadline of each term is to complete and submit your deferment application, pay 10% of tuition, 100% of all fees, and a $100 application fee, and sign and submit your promissory note packet and send it to USC sfs@usc.edu. So for more information, you can always visit our the website over there, which is our employer reimbursement page for more information and eligibility as well. So this slide here just kind of highlights our current tuition fees for this current academic year. So it kind of shows you what the per unit rate is and kind of what a 3-unit course and a 4-unit course is. Most of our courses are between 3 to 4 units, but there may be some courses such as electives that may be 1 or 2. So the tuition and the fees are the same for both online and on-campus student, and it is also subject to change without notice. So we always encourage you to head over to our website to view the most updated tuition rates for the current academic year. So in addition to tuition and funding, we do offer some scholarships. So for our online DEN of Viterbi students, we do have the DEN of Viterbi scholarship. So this is a merit-based scholarship, and it is awarded to outstanding students who are pursuing a master's program fully online through DEN of Viterbi. So the scholarship details is, first and foremost, it is a partial scholarship. So if you are awarded, you can receive between 1 to 4 units of tuition. You must be pursuing a master's program fully online through DEN of Viterbi, and also receive partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from your employer. So the funding will be awarded within the academic year. You can only be awarded once per academic year. However, you could reapply for a future academic year as a continuing student. To be eligible, you have to be either a newly admitted student or have an application on file. You must have an undergraduate degree with a cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0 GPA. So for those of you who are interested in applying to spring 2026, the scholarship deadline is Friday, November 14th. So I do encourage you to head over to the link at the bottom of the slide where you can read more information and find the application form itself on that website page. If you're interested in fall 2026, the deadline date will be posted on the website after the spring 2026 date has concluded. And for those of you who are joining us live or watching this as a recording afterwards, and you are a U.S. active duty military or veteran, we do have some funding and scholarships available as well. So for those of you who are active duty, we have the USC Viterbi Active Duty Military Scholarship. So this is also a partial scholarship ranging from $5,000 to $20,000 of tuition for U.S. active duty military of all military branches. And you would be pursuing a either a master's or a graduate certificate program, and it could be online or on USC's campus. And you would also receive partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from the military or your current employer. So similar to the DEN scholarship deadline for spring 2026, the active duty military scholarship deadline is also on Friday, November 14th. And fall 2026 dates will be posted on the website after the spring 2026 date has passed. In addition, USC Viterbi does offer an unlimited number of Yellow Ribbon Awards to eligible veteran candidates who are entitled to the 100% post 9/11 benefit rate. So the VA will match that amount provided by USC Viterbi as well. And for those of you who are veterans, we do also offer the USA Show and Family Scholarship for veterans. So this is for Viterbi incoming and continuing graduate students. You are eligible to apply. You must be admitted and enrolled immediately in courses on a full-time basis. And you must have received an honorable discharge from the U.S. Armed Forces and served a minimum of 3 years, being continuous full-time active duty since 2003. For more information and also for an application fee waiver, you can also head over to our website at the bottom of the slide as well. Okay, so getting started. So, if you guys are interested in, wondering, what's next, right? So for those of you who are interested in being an on-campus student, you could always, head over there if you want to, do a virtual visit of our campus, and then you could start your application for formal admission by clicking on the link below. And then for online Den of Viterbi students, you could start your application for formal admission still for spring 2026, or you could, get started as a limited status student for spring 2026, and you will just complete your limited status request form. Okay, so I'm gonna allow some time for people to pop in any questions that they may have for Professor Ronney, or any questions about the admissions and application process. So I'll just go ahead and allow some time for people to kind of chat those through. Okay, I don't see any questions come through. So I think we covered, we probably covered it as we were going through the webinar. So let me just allow a couple more minutes. Okay, so I don't see any questions that have come through. So Professor Ronney, I do think we, probably answered everyone's questions as we were going through this information session. But before we, wrap up, I want to ask, Professor Ronney, is there any kind of additional tips or any additional kind of anything that you want to, share with everyone who's joining us before we wrap up today's information session?
Sure. The one thing I would say, you might ask, well, what's different about USC? Why should we, attend USC as opposed to any place else? And one thing that really stands out, well, two things actually. One is I was a student at 4 different universities and on the faculty of another university before coming to USC. And none of them really had a sense of family or spirit like USC does. In fact, when I first came here, people would talk about this Trojan family thing. And my first reaction was, yeah, okay, whatever. I didn't really think there was such a thing. But I've really come to learn that there is, such a thing as it really is a family. And as department chair, I've tried to create the AME family within a much larger Trojan family. So that's one thing. Another thing that I think really stands out about our programs is the ability to get involved in all kinds of hands-on activities. Now, this is for the master's students, but even for the master's students, we're having more and more classes that have a hands-on, have an actual physical lab component to them. As department chair, I've been trying to add to that. And at the undergraduate level, we have a very large number of hands-on experiences required for undergraduates. And even above and beyond that, we have quite a number of design teams. We have, at last count, I think about 9, just within AME. We have 9 design teams that go to annual competitions, compete against other universities. We have Formula SAE, both internal combustion electric, and students, master's students are allowed to join those teams. We have our aero design team that every year builds a radio-controlled electric aircraft that again competes with a different mission every year, competes against others. And we have actually a very new team, human-powered flight. Yes, you heard that right. Team that's going to try to beat the current world record for human-powered flight. And advanced composites design team. What else? We have a robotic combat team, a BattleBots team, and a number of others that U.S. master's students, virtually all of them. Some are not open to PhD students, but virtually all of them are open to master's students. So those are the two things that I would mention is this whole feeling of being part of a family. And you really have to come to camp. And I know some of you are going to be Den students. Maybe you won't experience that as much. But certainly for those of you that are on campus, you can really experience that. And then on top of that, all these hands-on experiences that you can get involved with.
Thank you so much, Professor Ronney. I did have a question that we do kind of get quite often, and maybe some of our attendees may be wondering about this as well. Is are there any opportunities to do research or thesis related, for both on campus and even online Den students?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that.
Yeah, are there opportunities to do any research or thesis as either, both a on-campus and online Den students?
Right. So certainly for the getting involved in research is certainly an option, particularly for the on-campus students. To be honest, I've tried in the past to do that with remote students. It just hasn't worked out. I'll be honest about that. Maybe it will with other faculty. You can always try, but I just have not found to be successful. On campus, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I'm primarily experimentalist, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard for anybody to do anything. They say, well, I'll design this piece of equipment, or if you're not there on campus to actually test it out, this doesn't work out that well. In terms of the master's thesis, wasn't mentioned here, but yes, you can have a master's thesis. It takes the place of you have up to, I believe, 4 units of directed research that you can include towards those 27 units, and then 4 units of actually the thesis itself, which then has to be presented and defended by a committee of faculty. So you can do that. Not too many students do that, and I'll be blunt, the reason is it's inevitably going to be more work than taking those 2 or 3 extra classes. Now, some students tell me, look, I don't care if it's more work, I just want that research experience, but I don't want to go for a PhD. And so in that case we can work out something.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I will point out that if you're thinking about a PhD, our master's program is actually probably the biggest source of our PhD students because it's a really good, it's a two-way interaction in that you have a chance to try USC, learn about the faculty. We have a chance to meet you, see you in classes, see you in the research labs. And then if there's a match, then we can have a very high probability that, it will be a successful match and you can go on and complete a PhD. That's actually in many cases, much more effective than uh, admitting students from outside USC. Um, we're not either bachelor's and or master's students at USC. I mean, some of them have been very successful and others, to be honest, have not. We have a very high success rate with those students within our own bachelor's or master's students. I would say that probably half of my PhD students started out as master's students.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that information. That is really insightful. So let me go ahead and see. Okay, so there's a question about thesis by research on campus. Do you need to secure a supervisor before applying? And is there a fully funded scholarship for individuals who want to do a master's thesis by research on campus?
Mhm. Well, the first part, fraternity's policy is that full funding, meaning covering tuition and a stipend and all that, is only for PhD students.
Mm-hmm,
Now,
mm-hmm,
master's students can be hired at the faculty member's discretion at an hourly, and they can be paid hourly uh, by a faculty member, but not the full tuition
mm-hmm,
and the stipend that PhD students get.
mm-hmm.
In terms of is an advisor needed, I mean, you can start taking, um, 590 directed research. That's the course number 8590, directed research. You can take that, and that can apply up to, I believe, 3 or 4 units for your master's degree, even if you don't do it as part of a thesis. So you could actually start with that. However, even to take the 590, you will need to have a faculty advisor sign off on that. But you don't necessarily need to have approval for the master's thesis before doing that AME 590. You could do a semester of that and say, yeah, I really want to do this. I want to turn this into a master's thesis. Or say, okay, I've had my research experience. I've done enough and I'll move on.
Thank you, Professor Rani. Okay. Okay, so I don't see any additional questions that have come through. Okay, so thank you so much, Professor Rani, for taking your time in walking us through the graduate programs offered within the Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering Department. For everyone who is watching this webinar, live, we hope you found it really informative and really insightful. Don't hesitate to email if you have any questions about our graduate programs or about the applications process as well. And yeah, thank you again, Professor Rani. Any last words before we log off?
No, just hope to see you all, in the spring or in the fall, and thank you for your patience with my voice.
Thank you so much, Professor Rani. Thank you. And yeah, thank you all again for joining us. And take care, stay safe. This recording will be shared as well as a presentation deck in a couple of business days. So yeah, take care. And as we say, USC, fight on.